prosecution to revise the charges to just 12. This decision aims to expedite the case progress. This ruling comes in response to a defense objection regarding the overwhelming number of charges. However, a separate application for bond by the accused was postponed. Both parties have until July 18, 2024 to submit arguments on the bond issue. Mackenzie and his co-accused defendants pleaded not guilty to the original charges, which stemmed from alleged murders committed between January 2021 and September 2023 in Chakahola Forest of Kilifi County. Six people died during the takeover of the War Memorial Hospital by the Nakuru County government. This has been revealed when Governor Susan Kihika appeared before the Senate Health Committee today. The hospital management testified that the chaotic eviction jeopardized access to crucial health services. Governor Kihika defended the government's action, alleging they were protecting the hospital from land grabbers and accusing the management of fraudulent lease extension and ownership changes. Here is Mumbi Wambugu with the details.
For most of 2024, War Memorial Hospital has remained closed. Alleged goons were seen manning the hospital day and night, denying access to the management of the hospital despite court orders to allow its operations. The power struggle tragically led to the death of 6 patients.
Just before I go to my second question, can you confirm Ms. Washira?
In an effort to resolve the dispute, the Senate Health Committee summoned Nakuru County Governor Susan Kihika and the War Memorial Hospital management. Responding to accusations, Governor Kihika justified the takeover as necessary to protect the hospital from land grabbers.
The defendants, being the directors of Nakuru War Memorial Hospital Limited, are facing 23 counts of offences related to the renewal of the lease for Nakuru Municipality Block 11/07 inter alia. Fraudulently procuring of the registration of a document contrary to Section 157(1)(c)(1) of the Land Registration Act No. 6 of 2012.
Governor Kihika also accused hospital directors of forgery in obtaining lease certificates and vehemently denied deploying any personnel to control the hospital by force.
2 directors, one representing then the provincial commissioner, that was the administrative system then, and the other, I believe they called the provincial health officer.
On 27th October 2023, from about 7:30 p.m., the hospital was attacked by the county government, led by the county secretary, Mr. Mahora, who appeared unannounced in the hospital and, accompanied by armed police, forcefully disrupted patient care unceremoniously, chased away the staff and the hospital management, and carted away patients.
Patricia Musale, the hospital's matron, refuted these claims, stating that the lease had recently been renewed for another 50 years. She testified before the committee that there was no justification for chaotic eviction carried out at 2 a.m., alleging that county askaris, under strict instructions from the county government, physically assaulted staff members.
There was total disruption of care and treatment. Patients were subjected to pain and discomfort as the eviction was done in haste, and the attackers had no history of the patients. Patients who required urgent reviews by their physicians regarding diagnostic reports were denied that chance. Lab tests were abandoned on the table. X-rays that were going on were also abandoned. And it's also important to note that from 20th to 23rd of January 2024, there was restriction of patients accessing Nakuru War Memorial by our county askaris from the main entrance.
The fate of War Memorial Hospital remains uncertain. The facility, which served thousands of Kenyans in Nakuru and neighboring counties, has been closed for approximately 5 months now. Mombi Wambogo, K24 TV.
Away from that, a section of residents from the informal settlements who are affected by the ongoing exercise by the government to demolish households that are at a high risk of being flooded have decried injustice, corruption and cartelism in the operation. And as Gertrude Burgay reports, this marks 1 month since the evacuation exercise, which began and rendered hundreds homeless.
It's every man for himself as demolitions take the final stretch at these informal settlements located in South B area in Nairobi. One household after the other, not a single one seated next to this local river was spared. The demolition exercises, which follows the government's directive, now marks 1 month since it began, with the majority of residents left to bear the brunt. At these dwellings in Fort Anyayo, learning will not resume for the second term after several schools built next to waterways were laid down.
Rais wetu hii imeweza wanafunzi, watoto wadogo sasa hivi kazi wanaofanya wanakimbiza trakta ambazo zinafanya ubomozi, ili hali wenzao wako katika madarasa wanasoma. Rais, kama unaweza guzwa, waziri wa elimu kama unaweza guzwa.
Mimi kama mwalimu naomba sana, kama taifa linanisikiza wakati huu, tafadhali consider these upper schools zenye ziko kwa hii slums, na si shule moja, tafadhali wanapare na waambia shule nyingi sana, shule nyingi zimeathirika hapa South B.
As though that is enough, several families here are living in fear of contracting waterborne diseases after many were rendered homeless as a result of the floods.
Choo ni mahali pa public, mtu anaenda choo anarudi kwa nyumba.
At Mukuru Kwanjenga, the situation is not any different, with dozens grappling with the aftermath of the heavy rains. The residents have now decried corruption, cartelism and injustice derived from top officials under the operation.
Wanaomba chief ili asipomoe nyumba afike mali inafaa. Sasa naambia watu akipeana hiyo pesa hawezi pomolewa sisi nyumba afike pale. Imekuja kupatikana kwamba ameweka pesa na nyumba zinapomolewa tu na pesa amechukua ameweka kwa mfuko.
Serikali ilikuwa imesema watakata 30. Mbona huko wakati 10 meters na hapo wakati 30. Sasa unaona hapo tunaona kama ubaguzi iko kidogo.
This comes amid calls to the government by human rights activists to formulate speedy resolutions, failure to which they will take to the streets.
Tutawasukuma sana kwa ubomozi huu, tunaenda kuweka wahalifu, tunaenda kutengeneza familia ambazo zitakuwa za early marriages, early pregnancy, street children, wahalifu, criminals. Ili hali tunataka kuwatengeneza wasiwe watu hao. Je, kama hawana shule, si wataingia kuwa wahalifu? Si wataingia kuwa wale wasichana watapotelea umuhumu, wataenda kule mjini?
Kweli walitupatia time, lakini time yenye walitupatia ilikuwa kidogo sana. Wengi wao unajua tunafanya kazi hata mshahara baada hatujalipwa, makampuni ndio zikafunjwa. Sasa tunaomba serikali yetu inataka tuende wapi?
Gertrude Burgay, K24 TV.
Kenya faces a concerning setback in the battle against hypertension, with reports revealing widespread non-adherence to health guidelines aimed at reducing risks associated with the condition. This revelation emerged during World Hypertension Day in Machakos County, where it was disclosed that a significant portion of the population remains unaware of hypertension symptoms.
During this year's World Hypertension Day in Machakos County, health experts raised alarm over Kenyans' faltering progress in combating hypertension. Dr. Gladwin Gadesha, head of the Non-Communicable Diseases Division at the Ministry of Health, highlighted that Kenya's hypertension prevalence has risen to 33%, far exceeding the anticipated 18% by 2025 as per the midterm review.
We were supposed by 2025 to have the prevalence of hypertension at 18%. We started with a prevalence of 23%. So by next year, 2025-26, we are supposed to have moved to 18%. But when we did a midterm review, tulipoangalia katikati, estimates inatuambia kuwa tuko at 33%. So we are going at the opposite direction, which is worrying.
Non-adherence to medication and poor lifestyle habits are major contributors to this concerning trend, according to health officials.
Previously, hypertension was for old people. So right now, statistics is showing even younger people below 18 years are getting hypertension due to the risk factors, but other than that, there are other contributory factors like the other diseases, other conditions that can contribute to hypertension. So hypertension is no longer just a disease of the old. We encourage people, particularly those above 18, just go check your blood pressure and utilize any opportunity you are in a hospital to check your blood pressure. It is normal. When you enter a hospital, they check your blood pressure.
Experts emphasized the need for Kenyans to prioritize healthy lifestyles and dietary habits to mitigate hypertension, a significant risk factor for diseases like cancer, diabetes, and stroke.
Most people are walking around living with hypertension without knowing that they have hypertension. So these people are progressing towards complications of hypertension unawares. So the numbers are indeed worrying. And hypertension is a lifestyle disease, just like diabetes and other NCDs. So by lifestyle, I mean the things we do or don't do with regards to what we eat.
Looking at the increasing statistics and prevalence of risk factors such as alcohol use, tobacco, physical inactivity, very poor nutrition, we estimate that that number could actually be high. Should we do another step survey? Because that is based on data of a survey that we did in 2015.
In response to the rising challenge, Machakos County's Health CECM, Daniel Yumbia, announced plans to distribute hypertension drugs to all level 2 health facilities across the country.
Madawa ya blood pressure yasambazwe katika kila hospitali za chini kuanzia level 2. Hivyo basi wananchi wa Machakos wale ambao wanahitaji dawa za blood pressure wanaombwa wafike katika zahanati zetu zote.
Mariam Jahid, K24, Nairobi.
Let's get to business now. President William Ruto has called for reform of international financing institutions, advocating a more inclusive approach due to the current financial system, which he has termed as unfair, noting it neglects the interests of developing countries, and consequently, the head of state has called on the continent to prioritize value addition and stop exporting raw materials in order to enhance exports as a percentage of the GDP. President William Ruto has stressed the need to have reforms of international financing institutions, such as having concessional loans that he says will help pull many African countries out of debt distress. Making the remarks during the presidential conversation session at the Africa CEO Forum 2024 in Kigali, Rwanda, Ruto has emphasized the need to democratize the boards of multilateral development banks to ensure that all members have an equal say in the management of the institutions.
Development partnership has two components on both sides. So we must have a candid conversation so that we have an organization that is democratic. Countries in the developing world need concessional, long-term, adequate resources.
Terming the current financial system as unfair, Ruto noted that the reforms will enable underserved countries to advocate for mutually beneficial outcomes.
The financial architecture that exists is faulty. It is unfair. It is not right. It must be changed. In whatever engagement, we must keep our interests at the center of our focus. If we sign a bad deal, we must not finger point.
And now, as it pursues reforms at the African Union to make it fit for purpose and focused on providing a clearer voice for the continent, the head of state has called for integration and implementation of the African Continental Free Trade Area Agreement to enhance intra-African trade.
This AU, we are going to reform it. And we are going to make AU a fit-for-purpose organization. We can get the Africa Continental Free Trade Area moving and being a reality so that our business people can trade across this continent, so that we can move across this continent.
We take another break here at K24 Evening Edition. We'll be back with the latest sporting action. Stay tuned.
It's time to move. It's time to